The government's changing the employment rights of more than 1 million flexible workers in the UK. Following a review into how people in the so-called gig economy are treated, government says it is modernising workers' rights to reflect changing types of employment like 0 hours contracts. Now, under the reforms, the government says holiday and sick pay entitlements will be enforced, and workers will have the right to demand a payslip to see a breakdown of their wages. The changes could also mean an increase in the minimum wage for people on 0 hours contracts.
Too often people don't know that they're entitled, and even if they do, don't feel confident in enforcing their rights. So what we're doing, as Matthew Taylor and his colleagues recommended, is clarifying so people will be crystal clear on day one of their contract what their rights are.
But some of the workers on those contracts are not quite so optimistic. I'm joined now by Maggie Dewhurst, who's a cycle courier, as well as Vice-President of the Independent Workers of Great Britain Union. What do you make of what the government are proposing to do today?
Well, we're not joining in the fanfare. I think there's a bit of a overreaction. Of course, the government want to make it seem like they're doing a good thing, but really, when you look at the detail, there's really not much to it. And in
is that in part because it is a bit of a balancing act? Because, as you well know, there are the companies out there, but also many men and women who actually quite like this loose arrangement because they, in effect, like to be, as it were, self-employed.
Yeah, so the self-employment issue won't change because, as I did myself and many others, lots of tribunals have agreed that we are limby workers, which is a classification of self-employment, and it's wrong for the government, as well as these employers, to constantly misinform people, and in some cases the media as well, to say that limby workers, this worker status, this middle category, is not self-employment, because it is self-employment, so that won't change. The most difficult thing that that we find that Taylor has recommended and that the government is waving through is the change around the national minimum wage. That is very worrying. We were furious when he first recommended it, and it's terrible that the government is taking it on board, because basically it just gives companies an opportunity to not pay people the national minimum wage in certain circumstances.
So if you go back to ministers who said, these are certain proposals, but also there is an element of consultation as well, basically you're saying that as far as the employers are concerned, there's progress here, but employees, no, there's still a job to be done.
Yes, I mean, the one thing that is really going to help people in insecure, flexible, low-paid work, like myself and other couriers and so forth, minicab drivers who are on these bogus contracts, is rigorous government enforcement. And it's just not good enough.
Right, well, thanks for taking us through where we are right now, and I suspect, given that answer, we shall return to it. Maggie, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.